Two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Write this down. Write it down. You like writing things down.
The OG edition of Write That Down here on the OG Score North podcast. Mackey and Judd. All of these upcoming predictions and the accountabilities presented in part by Green Mill Pizza. So Peps, we've been talking about Peps Legit Pizza. Well, Peps has more tricks up their sleeve. Green Mill Restaurant Pizza, another incredible frozen pizza you should try. Green Mill is a Minnesota favorite brand, iconic, the Green Mill Restaurant brand. And now you can get the legendary flavor of award-winning Green Mill Restaurant-style, tavern-style pizza at home via your local grocer. They also have soft breadsticks and sauces available too, all sorts of different flavors. You cut it into squares like a good Minnesotan. You can learn more at greenmillfoods.com. Also, Twins tickets are available. They got to start getting some hits again. I feel like that's the thing. Just like get a couple hits. Let's start small, building blocks to your decks.
Yeah, twins.com to learn more. Tampa Bay will be in town this week. And got the Cubbies coming to town, who's been one of the best teams in baseball. So plenty of options coming up here in the month of July. Go to twins.com to learn more about those tickets, the My Twin membership, the 612 Saturdays. Twins.com to learn more.
All right, dudes. Well, here's how it works. This is the OG edition of Write That Down, where we make predictions every week, going back like 10 plus years. 3 predictions from everybody. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of batting averages and home runs here. Listeners, if you want to participate like Mac is about to, you can send Declan a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you scheduled. And, we got stats going back to 2018. We've been doing this exercise for over 10 years, and we're usually wrong a lot, as you'll see in the batting averages at the end of the accountability session. But, Judd, we'll start with you. If you could come to the floor here.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Oh.
Ooh.
6 things came off the board.
Yeah.
You said the Wild would sign John Tavares in free agency. Maple Leafs, back to the... He stayed put, right? He stayed put. Okay.
Yes, he did. Took a very team-friendly contract, too.
You said the Yankees would acquire Dylan Cease before July 1st.
A lot of speculation at the time he was going to be traded. That's old. That's a few months old.
But to this point, those talks have ceased to continue.
Oh.
That's right. You said Mike Conley would retire after the season. I mean, I guess there's still a chance, but I think that would have happened for cap purposes by now.
I should call him.
We're going to have a little bit of a deeper conversation there. There were some. We had some Dillingham Conley conversation yesterday that warrants further discussion on flagrant howls today. So
yes.
You said Mitch Marner would sign with the Vegas Golden Knights. Technicality here. So it was a trade and then an extension.
Yeah.
But so he did sign with the Golden Knights via the extension. This is one that may get dicey in Write That Down court. Because it was a trade.
His rights were traded, yeah. And then he signed with the Golden Knights. Yep.
Okay. The U.S. will beat Costa Rica in the CONCACAF Gold Cup quarterfinal, right?
Took a lot of work.
Penalties.
Yeah, 2Ks.
And then you said Julius Randle would opt out and sign a contract extension with the Timberwolves. Which he did. Kind of 3 options there. It was either going to be an opt-out period, which was unlikely, an opt-in, or an opt-out and an extension with the Wolves. So it's a good solid knock there for you. Not quite a home run, but a nice week for Judd. 3 for 6.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll take that week. Yep.
I said the 17th pick in the NBA draft, which the Timberwolves held, but I kind of left it open, would be a player that is 6'9" or taller.
Genius.
And Yohan.
Nailed it.
It's listed at 6'11", but maybe even growing because he's only 18 years old. Listeners, a different Phil said Naz Reid would re-sign with the Wolves for at least $32 million average annual value. I don't know that he was technically able to get that much, like in terms of the NBA contract rules, but either way, those are the breaks and Write That Down. And then Declan said the Twins would hit multiple Grand Slams in June.
Still without one. They don't have They don't have a Grand Slam yet.
Are they the only team in baseball without?
No, actually, I think there's a few.
Okay.
At one point, it was the Dodgers and the Twins, which was really weird. But I bet the Dodgers have one by now.
I think they'll. Yeah. If not, it's probably coming. So, all right, here's the stats
Oh,
again
it's
from
getting tight.
Super Bowl to Super Bowl. So, still plenty of time left in the season here, but I'm back to 300. Judd's all the way up to 290. Declan 246. Listeners at 235. All of us have 3 home runs on the season. All-time stats dating back to 2018. Declan batting 342. Judd 320. I'm at 280. Listeners 264. Judd 29 hits away from his 400th career hit. And write that down. Listeners with 73 home runs on their way with 10 home runs of a cushion between them and second place, which is me at 63. So
When that day comes that I get to the magical 400, will we stop the show and do some type of presentation?
I think we will. Yeah, I think we'll bring back
Speeches?
Yeah, we'll probably have pre-recorded a bunch of the athletes that you ripped on and denigrated to
Can we get
the
them
correct
on?
predictions. Yeah.
To praise me for my
Kirk
predictions?
Cousins,
Zucker.
Sam Darnold, Jason Zucker,
Kyle Rudolph.
Some of my favorites.
Adam Thielen for sure. So those are the accountabilities here. Let's get to
Write it
the
down. You like writing things
prediction
down.
part here. Mac is jumping in here. So Mac, you are in the keys right now.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Go
give
ahead.
us your, we were talking off microphone, but give us your background. So your dad is from Minnesota, but you are from Tennessee and are currently hanging out under palm trees in
Yeah,
the
well,
Keys.
I kind of tell people that I was conceived in Minnesota. They moved down, like literally about 6 weeks before I was born. So we live in Northeast Tennessee, Kingsport to be specific. But I had been listening to you guys for a long time. And actually started out, my dad was a big Garage Logic fan.
Yeah.
So that kind of, did some digging, and found you all and, it's a daily thing with me, if I can't listen, right then it's late at night. But you guys do great work. Huge fan of the show, so there are Tennesseans, that are listening. And, you see, I'm wearing Michigan shorts. So that's the only thing that I don't like that I do like that's not Minnesota. When I was first getting involved in sports, I was born in '84. So when I was first big in sports, the Fab Five were popular. And since my mom's from Illinois, dad's from Minnesota, had to be a Big Ten team. I liked watching the Fab Five, so I just took it and ran with it.
Those
So
are
that's
classic
something.
shorts. Those are
Oh,
awesome.
I love
Oh, I love
yeah,
those
the-
shorts.
there.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
no,
bigger the
they're
better.
I don't. The waistband's starting to make when you can tell when your shorts are old and like you stretch the waistband out, and you can hear it ripping. So I got to be real careful with them. But I do love to wear them when I can.
Those are awesome.
It's always funny because like when the elastic stops stretching, there's probably been 10 pairs of shorts that I have continued on months longer than the elastic would have.
You can almost smell it, when I try not to dry them all that much, but you can it's a distinct smell that it's almost time to put these in a box and maybe bury them in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll be a sad day, though. With
a
those.
memorial
a very
service.
sad day because you won't find those.
Well, we
No.
should try to get let's get one of them to sign those, and then you can
C-Web?
retire them in like an encasing or something,
that would be neat, and that's
C-Web, yeah, 0 timeouts left, dash
Oh,
C-Web.
yeah.
But I love it though. That's sports though. In the Minnesota sports, it has been, I wasn't quite old enough. I just remember sitting in a dark den, with my dad and one of his colleagues that was also, in Tennessee after moving from Minnesota. So I remember those World Series games. I just remember the TV being on, it being dark as hell, and my dad being happy. He was just ecstatic. They won the World Series, and I probably thought at the time, well, this is great. We'll do this, every few years or something. And then,
Yeah.
man,
Life
it has
comes
been,
at you, and
oh.
life comes at you fast. And now the elastic's broken on your shorts.
I know
Yeah,
that.
you're in your 40s now. It's just crazy.
It
So,
is.
all right, Mac, we're going to start with you with your first prediction. Over to Judd, Declan, back to me, and take us wherever you want on your first.
Write it down. You like
Prediction
writing
here, man.
things down.
Okay, well this will kind of combine Michigan and Minnesota. So I am high on JJ McCarthy. I get that he came from a run heavy, offense at Michigan, but he did something at Michigan, that I'm hoping that he can do with the Vikings. He led them to to a title, when it seemed like they were always destined to get beat in that big game. They always lost in the Rose Bowl when they got there, when they had Lloyd Carr, who was from Churchill, Tennessee, about 10 miles from where I live, which is crazy. But I was fortunate enough to meet him once. But I do think that the Vikings will do well with him. But I'm going to say that the Vikings start this season, I'm going to say 6-0.
Wow.
They at least start 6-0. I know they got that Bears game. That'll be fun Monday night. I may lose it that first week, but
but their schedule it's very gettable early in those first 5 or 6 games. That's the time to rack up some
and
wins.
I do like what they've done to the offensive line. I think that they'll be able to run a little bit better than what they have been. I know KOC likes to air it out, but I think they've got good pieces around him to, and he's played well under pressure. He's played well in those big games. So I think, they start the season, what did I say, at least 6-0?
At least 6-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it, dude. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Judd, what's your first prediction?
All right, I'm shocked I have not made this before, but I went through and did a Control F, and I can't find it, so I'll make it now.
Here, I'll put a second set of eyes in.
Okay, thank you. Kirill Kaprizov will sign an 8-year contract with the Wild before the start of the regular season. So he's eligible.
So you do have one that is the Wild will sign Kaprizov to an extension at some point before 25-26. So what you're saying it'll be at least 8 years.
8 years. That must have been a while back. So they'll sign him to. I'll add something to it. Kirill Kaprizov will sign an 8-year contract extension with the Wild before the start of the regular season, and he will score 40 or more goals. Season.
Wow! Oh,
so I'll just add to it.
Just gonna add a little something there. Okay.
And if he stays healthy, he will. But the problem is, like a year ago, he didn't, and so that's the concern. His health. I think it's far more than his skill.
Since we're trying to mark in advance if it's a home run or not, I think because it's kind of a 3-atom parlay, like you're saying, extension before the season, 40 goals requires health, which has been a problem for him at times.
Yep.
So
8 years.
So. I think that's a home run if it happens.
Okay, cool. Dex?
Write this down.
All right, Dex.
All right, I have a couple Twins ones, but I'll make this Wolves one first. Write this down. Neither Rob Dillingham or Mike Conley will be in the starting lineup for opening night for the Timberwolves. Wow. Doesn't mean they won't be on the roster. They won't be in the starting lineup. I think they're going to get another point guard in here that we're not talking about. So that's kind of the will of this.
Could either be like a vet minimum or their taxpayer mid-level exception and that player starts, or there could be a big trade.
Mm-hmm.
Could they get real crazy and put DiVincenzo in the starting lineup,
right,
which they did for chunks when Conley wasn't playing?
Yep. So there's a couple ways I kind of fall into this, but neither Dillingham or Conley in the starting lineup for opening night.
Okay.
Write this down.
Okay, write this down. So I've poked at Judd for when athletes leave Minnesota that he makes negative predictions about them because, how dare you? Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I'm going to go the other way. So he's in Atlanta now, just signed a fat $60 million contract $62 million over 4 years. Good for Nickeil. So write this down. Nickeil Alexander-Walker will set career highs this upcoming season in minutes per game and points per game. So those bars would be just for our fodder. He would have to play at least 25 and a half minutes per game and score at least 11 points per game. Last year with the Wolves, he was at 9.5 points a game and like 25.3 minutes per game, according to Basketball Reference. But I think he's going to live up to the contract. He's going to they're going to play him more. They need his defensive presence next to Trae Young, who does not play defense. Yeah. And maybe he finishes his career in Minnesota. And we can.
This is the Zolgadian applying pressure through saying something nice.
I don't. I mean, I'm not applying pressure. I don't care if he does it with the. That's a theory that I would subscribe to if he was a wolf and I'm trying to apply pressure.
Okay.
But he's a Hawk. I'm just celebrating.
Write this down.
Celebrating the Alexander Walker family.
Better work out for him.
Back to Mac for your second prediction.
Okay, I'm gonna do a Twins one, but I'm going to try to pull them out of this, whatever they're doing here. I mean, we're within I think it's like a 2.5 hour drive in Miami, and we had kind of kicked around, maybe driving up to see them play the Marlins. gosh, it is hard to get up on the Twins right now, but I do think that they're going to string together, another good stretch, and I think that they finish above 500.
Okay.
I don't know that they make the playoffs, but I think that, I don't know if some younger guys come up, and they let them play a little bit, but I do think they finish above 500 before the end of the year. It may be, you know, the bare minimum that they could be above 500, but
Yeah.
I think that's I'm going to try to be optimistic, and
You're trying to will this into existence. That's what's
gosh,
happening
basically,
here.
yeah.
What are
Can
they
they
now?
start to
40 and 45? Is that
Yeah.
what they're
I
sitting
think
at?
they're 5 under right now, but and it's crazy to think where they could be after that 13. If they didn't have that 13-game win streak, that was kind of fool's gold, I guess. But I don't know. 2 hits last night. I thought about that movie Major League, where 2 hits. That's all we got was 2 GD hits.
Yeah.
That's can't say that on the radio. Kind of nobody's listening anyways. Well, Mac is down here.
Mac is.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Atterbury and Provis.
yeah.
You can't say that.
They'd have to
You-
go.
yeah.
They'd have to go 42 and 36 the rest of the way for that to hit.
Yeah. Which
that
is like, I
doable?
mean, they did rattle out, it's probably not a home run prediction because like they've got some guys on the team and they rattle
Yeah.
out 13 straight wins, but it's
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So-
We need to get that listener average up there. What was it this year? 235.
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, we
and
get that.
listeners usually kind of sacrifice the batting average for the home runs, and this year it's just been kind of down across the board. Let's go back to Judd here for his second prediction.
All right, so we talked about the excitement for the NBA Summer League, which starts soon. And then last night on NBA TV, I saw a 20-year history of like the
Saw that, too.
retrospect. It was awesome. It was really fun to watch. It was really good. Got me thinking, though. Timberwolves have a pretty good Summer League team, don't they, boys?
They should. That roster should be coming out here soon.
They are going to win the Summer League title. Write that down. The Timberwolves will win
snap.
the Summer League title. Hang the banner in Target Center. Have a ceremony opening night.
We should hang that banner.
The Summer League champions in Vegas at the Thomas and Mack will be the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I love it, man. Yeah, so we haven't. I don't think it's been confirmed yet. Like Rob Dillingham should play, I would think.
Yeah.
Because he barely played during the regular season.
A lot of those guys should play, right?
And he struggled in summer league for sure last year. He had a bunch of like just bad shooting.
I mean, shouldn't
performances.
Terrence Shannon play?
Probably, but he's a little older. I think it's a little bit. Probably.
I'd like to see
I
him
could see
there.
them with a 25-year-old just being like, let's just not risk the injury.
Write this down.
All right, write this down. I might do a extra innings episode on this idea today, but I was listening to Talking Baseball yesterday, and Talking Jake, friend of the show, him and Jimmy were throwing out trade possibilities for the Yankees, and they basically came to the conclusion that the Twins have everything that the Yankees need, which is relief pitching, which is kind of utility infielders to make life a little easier. So write this down. The Twins and Yankees will be trade partners by the deadline. They will be trade partners by the deadline.
What's the farm system like in the Bronx?
It's okay. It's okay. Good, not great. But still, when you're doing business with the Yankees, I wouldn't be completely against it. So
Cubs. I think they're a good trade partner for the Cubs, who I think have a deeper, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not an expert on this, I think the Cubs have a deeper farm system.
Go poach something of substance.
Oh, God,
to salvage anything this summer.
Yeah.
Write this down.
For God's sakes. Okay, write this
Sorry,
down.
Matt.
Write this
I
down.
love it.
Let's go. I'll make a summer league prediction here too. I will say that I'll make it. I think Dillingham's going to play, but I'll say this: Rob Dillingham scores at least 20 points in the first summer league game. He's going to come out, and off the record, I want it to be efficient. All right, he needs to go out there and just dominate this thing, and don't shoot 2 for 15 or whatever some of those weird performances were last year. At least 20 points in the first summer league game. Rob Dillingham.
Write this down.
Let's go. Okay, back to Mac for your third and final prediction.
Okay, so I'll try to swing for the fences. Let's go with, how many home runs does Byron Buxton have right now?
19?
19.
Yes, 19 homers.
What if he? So, I think that he'll finish with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Byron Buxton will. Has anybody already predicted that?
I mean, you're good either way because it hasn't been predicted on this show. Let me
Okay.
I can scan through the listeners here real quick.
I've been
I
impressed
think
with
you're
how
good.
long he's stayed healthy this year.
Yeah, I think you're good, man. And part of it is health. Like, there's no guarantee that he, based on his career, that he plays long enough or enough games this season to get. Oh, someone. Alex did make that prediction several weeks ago that he would go for 30 and 30 this season.
Well, let me change mine then.
Okay.
Let's say that. All right, we'll go back to the Vikings, and maybe we'll say that. Well, I will say, T.J. Hawkinson leads the Vikings in touchdown catches this upcoming season.
Yeah, let's go.
There you go.
McCarthy likes the tight end. The tight end. He had some good ones when he was at Michigan, and I think that's. I don't know. Maybe his safety valve there. I think the Vikings a Vikings tight end, will be the leading touchdown receiver for the.
Yep. I think you might be onto something there. Mac from the Keys trying to decide if he wants to drive a couple hours to watch bad Twins baseball. It's going to be a conundrum today and tomorrow. Yeah. Mac.
Well, now
thanks.
now that they're going to finish above 500, I almost have to.
Yeah, you can go watch the comeback up the standings start in front of your own two
enjoy
eyes.
the seafood and a cocktail
somewhere
with sand around you. Don't bother going to the Marlins game.
That is true.
Well, Max, since you've got this life-changing platform here on Mackey and Judd, is there anyone that you'd like to thank or shout out? Right now is your time.
Well, she's sitting right in front of me. It's my wife, who puts up with me listening and watching, every day. My wife Tina. So I told her what was happening, and she's kind of like, what? Because we have a couple Shih Tzus, and I see people bring their dogs on there, and it is killing me not to call in after a Vikings game with Sophie and Phoebe, our two little Shih Tzus.
Oh,
who's
a good girl.
So maybe this is a good trial run to maybe get in on vent line at some point.
I think so. Yeah,
kind of breaks the ice a little bit, but gosh, what
quick
perfect
question?
time, Yes, sir.
Does she like the shorts still? Does your wife like your shorts still?
I've turned her into a little bit of a Michigan fan, but Minnesota fan.
But
though.
but not specific to the fandom.
No.
Does she know about the elastic
The
breaking
aging
down?
of the shorts.
Oh yeah,
and potentially the smell of the old elastic.
The Nike swoosh is kind of about half attached. It's
My wife wouldn't like that.
I've tried to buy other shorts. He won't have it.
She said swimming trunks are, she bought me some swimming trunks down here, and she says, see how everybody else is wearing trunks down here? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's not me, though. It's been gym shorts at the pool, at the beach, and maybe that's a little bit of the Tennessee coming out. Whatever works.
Mac, you are a fashionista. You are a great Minnesota sports mind, a fashionista. And we appreciate you jumping on. Let's do it again sometime, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Y'all do great work, and I've appreciated you all letting me do this. So thanks.
And say hi to your Shih Tzus for us. All right.
I'll do that as soon as we get home on Sunday.
Love it. There he is. Guest listener, predictor Mac, holding it down in the Keys. Just trying to make a decision.
Like those shorts, though. Dawn would turn on. She gets so tired of the same shorts, and if they're falling apart, and I'm like, I love these shorts, and then mysteriously sometimes clothes will disappear.
Yeah. Well, and we've had this conversation before. It's hilarious, and I'm so guilty of this. You'll go to a brunch and spend $110 on mediocre food or whatever.
Yep.
And then when it comes to that 4-year pair of tennis shoes that cost $100 to replace, or a pair of shorts that might cost $20, oh man, I have to go spend $20 on a pair of shorts or $40.
But you get attached to them. It's the comfort factor for me with shorts. I've loved my shorts.
It's history.
They're like my children. Exactly.
I love my shorts.
They're always there for you. They never let you down until they fall down.
Until the elastic breaks, and then it's all over. You know who else doesn't let you down? MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Not
Always
a chance.
there for you.
Not a chance. And guess what? The calendar turning to July means hot and muggy. And that means that if your AC is struggling, and I'm not talking about not working, I'm talking about not working to full efficiency, then it needs a checkup, and that's where MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air come in. $49 AC tune-up, a no-brainer for peace of mind. We're talking about repairs, installs, reliable service. That's what MSP is all about. I should know. I've used them. They're outstanding. Also, you can ask them about their Total Comfort Club membership too, so that you know that your system will be taken care of all year long. That's incredibly important. Just go to their website, callmsp.com, or give them a call, 651-615-4292. Call msp.com. Plumbing, heating, and air. They do it all. That's the hat trick boys of their business.
Meadows at Mystic too. It's prime golfing season right now. If you're staying around the Twin Cities looking to book a tee time this weekend, Dex, Meadows.
Absolutely, yeah. If you are sticking around, or maybe you're looking for your next golf adventure, go to the Meadows at Mystic Lake. You can book that tee time at golfthemeadows.com. They also have a brand new patio too. So heck, maybe even before or after you're around, you want to enjoy a nice cold one on their patio, you can do that. Their pro shop is fully stocked, not just with extra balls and whatnot and tees. They also have a ton of apparel too. So go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time.
All right, boys. Last few predictions here.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
Judd, fire away.
All right. Karl Anthony Towns won't be with the Knicks after the 25-26 season. Karl Anthony Towns will be shipped out. I don't know it's going to work. They're going to have a new coach. I feel like they've gone back to, unfortunately for the fan base there, being overly volatile because James Dolan can't keep his hands out of the organization and how it's running. So Karl Anthony Towns last season with the Knicks, in short, will be next season.
Yeah, it's that arc is going to repeat itself, I feel like, with him. Although they're still, man, if they get the right coach in there and they can kind of expand their rotation roster, but I mean they're interviewing they interviewed Don Staley a couple days ago.
But we're assuming
still a good team.
The problem is we're assuming that the coach will be allowed to operate. James Dolan screws up everything he touches.
Yeah, it's weird vibes with that guy. He's a psychopath. All right, Dex.
Write this down.
Writing things down.
Willie Castro will be traded to one of these three teams by the deadline. The Yankees, I'm going to include the Yankees, the Astros, or the Dodgers.
Ooh.
Or the Dodgers. I think all three of these teams need help regardless, kind of at third and in left field. Willie can play both positions. He's a switch hitter. Twins have also done business with the Dodgers before. So Astros, Yankees, or Dodgers for Willie Castro by the trade deadline.
Okay, write this down. Wolves prediction.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
This is a little teaser for one of our flagrant house topics today. But the Timberwolves last season, there's a couple different ways you can look at transition offense. But one of them is just purely how many points per game did you score in transition on average? The Timberwolves, 29th in the NBA in transition points per game, ahead of only the Charlotte Hornets. They were not a team they have a couple guys that'll get out and run, Jade McDaniels, Anthony Edwards. But by and large, it was kind of plotting Julius, plotting Gobert, Mike Conley, who's closer to 40 than 35. But I feel like a little more Terrence Shannon Jr., a little more Jalen Clark. So they were at, 19.2 points per game in transition. Write this down. In the first game of the season, the Timberwolves, only two teams had 30 or more points in transition last year. I'm going to swing for a home run here. They're going to have at least 30 transition points in the first game of the season. Write this down. And I think if you're going to replace the Nikhil minutes with some Terrence Shannon Jr. minutes, I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to have like 10 of those off the record. And they're just going to be looking to push the tempo a little bit more aggressively with some of these bench players.
Good.
So at least 30 transition points. The Bulls and the Grizzlies were the only teams that averaged 30 or more points in transition per game. So there you go.
Like it.
Write it down. You
Wolves
like writing
features.
things down.
All right, the OG edition of Write That Down, the OG podcast here on Score North. Mackey and Judd, we'll see you guys tomorrow.